Hello, welcome to my channel Christian Faith and Fiction. My name's Lou. Today I'm going to do the reader problems tag. I think this is some questions to do with difficulties, problems that come up when you are a reader. I'd love for you to leave your answers in the comments as we're going along and make this more of a discussion. And I'm obviously going to answer the questions as we go along. So I was tagged to do this by Celestria. I will leave her video down in the description. I tried to look up who the original creator of the tag was, but it seems like that video has been taken down off of YouTube. Tag videos basically just give you a series of questions or prompts that you can answer, sometimes with books, in this case with reader problems. So, question number 1. You have 20,000 books on your TBR. How in the world do you decide what to read next? Let me know your answers to this in the comments. So, I don't have 20,000 books on my TBR. I do have quite a lot of books if I include the ebooks that I own, but in terms of my TBRs, this year I've been trying to prioritise reading the unread books that are on my shelf so that I can either move them on or put them onto my to be reread pile. And then I am really a mood reader, so I try to pick out a variety of different genres for the next sort of books that I want to prioritise. Take a guess at what I might want to read next. It's always a bit kind of loose because I don't really know, but I like to sort of narrow it down to sort of 5 books and then say, okay, this is my TBR, next TBR, I'm going to pick something off of there. Question number 2, you're halfway through a book and you're just not loving it. Do you quit or are you committed? Halfway through, that's a fair amount of the way through. Like if I've got that far, I probably will finish, but if I'm just bored by it, I'll probably just sort of skim read through a bit, try and get to a bit that's more interesting. If it's something that offends me, that I'm not loving it, like there's just a lot of swearing or something very unchristian in it, I try to be good and about just stopping reading completely and I'll put it down, or maybe I'll just read the ending so that I can conclude it in my mind and then put it down. It really depends, really. Question 3. The end of the year is coming and you're so close but so far away on your Goodreads reading challenge. Do you try to catch up and how? This never happened to me because I always set myself really low Goodreads goals so that I will manage to hit them fairly easily and then I just extend it afterwards. So yeah, this never happens. Number 4, the covers of a series you love do not match. How do you cope? You just have to cope, don't you? If there are matching covers available, I will try to get them. I do have one series where I picked up one in a large print hardback because it was a lot cheaper, and then the other 2 in paperback, and it looks a bit weird, mismatched, but if I've managed to get it for less money, then I'll be happy about that anyway. The Melanie Dickinson books, they sort of started off in paperback and then they went into hardback, so halfway through the series they don't match up, which I find a little bit annoying, but again there's enough of one and enough of the other to make it look kind of balanced. If they're wildly different and you can't get one to match each other, like they have a reboot with a new cover and then they stop making the others and you just can't get it, that is slightly annoying because it just doesn't match up. But then yeah, I don't have big bookcases that I can stare at, all the books that I've already read are piled up behind the books that I'm reading now, so I can't actually see them anyway, so it's not really an issue. Question 5. Everyone and their mother loves a book you really don't like. Who do you bond with over shared feelings? I'm trying to think if that's happened to me. Usually with books, they're kind of split both ways. If it's a book that I don't like, there'll always be somebody else on one of the social media platforms that doesn't like it. But I'm one of these people, if I don't like a book, that's it, put it to one side, never talk about it again. I don't have a desire to rant about most books. I'm just like, it's not for me. I'd much rather try and find people to talk about the books I love rather than the books I hate. Question 6. You're reading a book and you're about to start crying in public. How do you feel? I don't read that much in public. Only very occasionally, if I'm on the beach on holiday, I'll read. Yeah, I really not read in my own room. I don't like to have any sounds or anybody talking around me, because I need to hear my own voice in my head in order to understand the words. I have to I think you call it sub-vocalizing. So I have to be able to hear my own voice reading it aloud to me in my head. And if there's lots of noise or people around, I find that harder to do. It's not, if there's loads of people and you can't make out anybody's voices distinctly, then it's okay. But yeah, I have listened to books before on the train, but I don't know that I've listened to any that really make me cry. So yeah, I think if I was coming up to a scene and it felt like it was going to be emotional, I would just put it down, maybe pick up something else, and then pick up that book when I was on my own, so that I can just indulge in my own feelings at that point. Number 7, a sequel of a book you love just came out, but you've forgotten a lot from the prior novel. Will you reread the book, skip the sequel, try to find a synopsis on Goodreads, cry in frustration? I wouldn't skip it, and I wouldn't cry. This happens to me a lot, because if I'm reading them as they're coming out, then it's usually been a year since the last one, and then I can't remember anything. So with some books, I'll completely reread them. Oftentimes I'll just skim through the book just to pick up bits that I can't remember and remind myself of it. Sometimes I'll just go straight into it and hope that there's enough detail in there that it will remind me of the previous ones. Sometimes I'll start doing that and then realise I can't remember too much, so I'll have to skim read the other one. But if it's one that I really was wanting to read, there's no way I would not read it. Dogs barking. Question 8. You do not want anyone borrowing your books. How do you politely tell people no when they ask? People don't usually ask to borrow my books. The only person I usually lend them to is my mum, and she's always very good with looking after my books. So yeah, if I've read a book already, I don't mind too much about lending them out. But yeah, nobody asks me really. Yeah, I'd rather give away a book than lend it out to someone. Depends on the books, really. Depends on the books. But yeah, that hasn't really happened to me so far. Number 9, you've picked up and put down 5 books in the last month. How do you get over your reading slump? I will, if I'm not in the mood to read a new book, I will always pick up a book that I've read before and loved, because I know that I'm going to like it again because I've already gone through it and I know that I liked it. Sometimes I'll pick up children's books instead of adult books if I'm struggling, because they don't require the same amount of concentration. I might pick up a novella because it's short and I like to feel like I've achieved something by reading something but not having to commit for a long period of time. Maybe I'll try a different format, so maybe I'll pick up a book in audiobook instead of a paper copy. Number 10, there are so many new books coming out that you're dying to read. How many do you actually buy? And number 11, after you've bought new books you can't wait to get to, how long do they sit on your shelves before you get to them? So I can put these two together, because I used to be really guilty of pre-ordering books that I really liked the sound of and then not having the capacity to read them in at the time. And so hence this year I've been on a book buying ban for 6 months so that I can try and get to read the books that have sat on my shelf for like 3-4 years. Because I bought them and I really wanted to read them at the time, but there's just too many books coming out for me to keep up with all the new releases. So it's been more difficult this year because I'm like making a list of books that I actually do want to read that have come out, but I've not bought because I'm prioritising other books that I already have. So yeah, in the past I bought too many and then they've sat on my shelf for like 3 years. So now I'm trying to get my physical TBR down to a size where I can then just buy books and read them straight away, before I then buy any new books. Trying not to pre-order so many books as well, so that I'm just reading where I'm buying when I'm reading, when I need to read. Like, there's a much closer correlation between buying and reading. I think that's all the questions. That's all the ones I'd had written down anyway. So I'll be interested to see what any of you think down in the comments. Let me know, do you have reader problems, or like me, actually, I don't seem to have many problems looking at those questions. Quite a few of them don't apply to me, and yeah, maybe I just have a very easy life as far as reading goes. But let me know what happens to you in the comments, and anything you want to rant about, go ahead. Okay, I hope you're having a really great reading week. I'm not going to tag anyone with this one, but take it as you will. And until next time, God bless. Bye.